Welcome back, you guys. Last time, you watched Jacob and I get our first taste of sailing, a dream we've had for years. And some of us, me, had the pleasure of tasting it twice. Join us today as we experience wind and the lack thereof, the stress that is anchoring at night, and we end up crashing our drone.
After a few days exploring the small island of Banda Neira, we lifted anchor for a 3-day crossing to the larger Indonesian island of Flores, a little over 500 nautical miles to the southwest.
Once underway, my how to avoid seasickness routine came flooding back to me. When on deck, look at the horizon. If you're in the saloon, get horizontal immediately. And some other tips that were given to me: avoid caffeine, keep a full stomach, try, and stay dry and warm.
This crossing started out much like the last overnight we did. Heavy winds and choppy seas guided us from our 4-hour shifts to our beds and back again. Abby had the half shift behind me, so she would get to sleep 2 hours after I did and get 4 hours before she was back on deck. She was also on the lucky watch that gets to see the sunset and the sunrise the following day.
By mid-trip, the wind eased, taking the waves with it. What was a relief for my mildly seasick self came a realization that we would not be arriving in Flores on our estimated 72-hour sail. Instead, the cockpit became an open-air living room as we took full advantage of the weather and the seas.
It's very hard, you have to do with the handle. Because the passage of the rope is too much. More. More? Yeah.
One is the main sail on the mast, and the other one is the head sail. Which one's the main sail? Which one?
Yes, the difference between that have the boat tune and have the boat tune. What is my son?
With Toots Tielmans playing in the background, Jacob read old sailing guides of Timo's, and I read to the too smart 2-year-old Nemo. Captain Joe worked on her and Timo's YouTube channel, and once caught up on Miss Sleep, our proud Italian captain doubled as a chef once more.
It is beautiful though.
As the days crept by, so did the
You have to
wind.
see the light of the sun between the ocean, inside to the water.
There's not going to be any green light.
Fuck. No, there is not today. Generator with the constriction on the river, you know, the turbine.
No, like hydroelectric.
Hydroelectric, steam. Engineer Fontana. When is young, the year 6.
Morning, Nemo. He's gonna fly it.
You're gonna catch on that.
Yeah.
Look in front.
I coerced Jacob into flying the drone and quickly learned that 5 knots is, as he had stated, way too fast to land. This is the first and last time we flew our DJI Mini, and anytime you see the footage of NV underway, please remember the following clip. The drone survived with 2 broken blades after hitting the backstay and a serendipitous slide into the stern safety cable.
One of the first nights underway, the sail bag that was holding the staysail caught a wave and disappeared, leaving the sail dragging in the water. Timo and I were on shift at the time, and we woke Joe to captain the boat while we ran to the bow to wrestle it back on. If you thought a sail caught wind, you should see it catch water. For the time being, the sail is flaked and tied to the safety lines for storage. Part of the reason our ETA kept delaying was again the boat draft. Almost 15 feet underwater limited which anchorages we could land at. With varying wind and boat speed and our need to arrive in daylight, the differential equation was set. The numbers finally added up to an anchorage just north of Maumere in Flores, where we avoided a narrow strait and darkness by taking the long way around the island volcano just offshore.
Finally coming in today. This will be the 5th morning sailing when we thought we were going to be at sea for 2 nights and 3 days. So a little bit longer than we expected. Definitely beautiful though. Sunrise this morning was awesome. Fun to see. In fact, that's probably the most exciting things are the sunrises and the sunsets during the sail. So they were pretty, but we're here. We have to check to make sure this anchorage is shallow enough, well, deep enough for us, but not too deep. So fingers crossed this will be the right place, but we'll see. Now, one thing I can say is after using Indonesian toilets, it's always a good idea to have an ocean nearby.
Once on anchor, a quick cleanup of the boat was followed by settling everyone's stomach with a beer. The plan was to stay here for a week while we exchanged crew, snorkeled the nearby reefs, and reprovisioned. We didn't know at the time, but this would be the last open water sailing we would do, as the rest of our voyaging was done within eyesight of the coast.
must say, kids, you wash your feet from this side.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's very good. Very good. Boy.
Good night.
Our departing crew member, Stefan, booked a scuba tour, so we tagged along with our snorkeling gear.
Couscous? Hi, couscous. Oh.
Okay, so we can go.
After a 45-minute drift dive over a vibrant reef, we were taken to the Crack. This was one of a few cracks that were formed by a 7.8 magnitude earthquake on the island in 1992. The quake killed 2,500 people and left 90,000 homeless, and destroyed 90% of the buildings in the nearby city of Maumere. It also decimated the reef, though it has made a surprising recovery, and we felt lucky to see the reminder of the past in the reef and the progress it has made. But progress isn't always linear. While underwater, we heard a few explosions from locals dynamite fishing, a method banned for its damage to reef, yet still practiced by some. For this round of boat provisioning, we were in charge of the veggies, so we made our way to the open-air markets. Trying to stay on budget, we took the local bus back to the boat. Even though this local taxi bus is normally a few dollars, we always find ourselves being charged about 10 times that rate. But hey, at least you get wind through your hair and music turned up to 11.
Ladies are just imitating, so won't the real Slim Shady please stand up? Please stand up, please stand up, 'cause I'm Slim Shady.
With new crew, new food, and probably old diesel, we lifted anchor to head 70 nautical miles west to 17 Islands National Park, still on the island of Flores.
Yeah, so the arrow's pointing in the wind direction. Yes. And we're now quite far from it. So it's pointing over there, and we're going over here. So we want to bring them back together.
Other way.
You can't change the direction of the... We want to go... Yes, we have to go back towards the wind.
Coastal sailing has a few differences from the open water. Generally speaking, being closer to the land means ocean conditions are calmer, and in our experience, the wind was a bit less. You don't get the trade winds typical of offshore sailing. Instead, you get thermal winds produced by a temperature difference in the land and water. Relatively cold land in the night sucks the wind towards it, while relatively warm land during the day blows the air away. This wind is not strong or consistent, so we adjusted sails much more frequently. With more obstacles in the water near land, we had to be extra vigilant and dodge buoys and boats regularly. It didn't help that the Indonesians weren't good at marking fishing rigs clearly or using navigation lights at night. The last difference was that we had to pay more attention to our depth. The charts were not always accurate, so the depth sounder was routinely checked for unexpected shallow areas.
I don't think getting a dictator in is going to fix that, you know?
Depends.
You Italians.
After bobbing around for most of the day, we didn't want to spend the night doing the same and decided to rely on the thermal wind to push us to the next anchor bay before nightfall. A bad bet. With 2 spotters with headlamps and a spotlight at the bow, a person on each of the depth sounders calling numbers, and 3 people on different charting apps, we snuck into the anchorage just after sunset without any trouble. Stick with us next time as we explore this quiet park within earshot of Komodo Islands National Park.